Hey, good morning or good evening if you're joining us from the UK. So I am Kylie. I am your executive coach for the hour, and we are also joined by another productivity coach. So you got double. You got double.
Got double today.
Double today. And she is joining us from the UK, all the way
Yes.
across that pond, right? I'm from this side of the pond. She's on this other side of the pond.
I know. What time is it where you are again? It's morning
It's
for
10
you.
a.m. here
Yep.
in
And
California.
it's 6 p.m. here. So 6 or
Yeah.
7. Yeah.
Yeah. And thanks to daylight savings, we both look great because
I
the sun's
know.
still out. Sun's still out.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And so before we get into it, because Obi and I met through another Facebook group, right? Facebook,
Yeah.
like so powerful, right?
I
We're
know how
able
you
to reach.
connect with people. It's just
Right,
amazing.
so many different people. But through the power of Facebook, I was able to reach out to her, and we had this really great conversation in our group about, when this whole, Black Lives Matter thing
Yeah.
started like to surface, and we just had this really great, like deep conversations in a
Yes.
business mastermind group about content creation.
Yeah.
So you never know where you can have these conversations. And I was just so touched by Obi and how, just how she has overcome so many things
Well,
and
yeah,
in
I
her
think that's a
life.
lot of people though, to be fair.
To be
Yeah.
fair, but I just totally enjoyed your story. And without me botching it, let me just hand the mic over to Obi and let her introduce herself and what she does and how she can help you.
Thanks for inviting me over, Kylie, to talk about
You're welcome.
the things that make women women, really, and fierce women. My name is Obehi Alofoje, Obi for short, what my friend call
Yeah,
me. And I'm based in the UK, so Manchester, United Kingdom. Well, I used to live in London for a long time, but moved since then. I'm a psychologist by training in the UK. I currently work for a non-profit sort of part-time. I did that to grow my business. But on the business side of things, I run a company called Aurora Wellness. And I run that company with my cousin. We are a productivity and mental well-being consultancy. So what we do, we help corporate and their employees achieve good mental well-being because we believe good mental well-being is just as important as physical well-being.
right.
And the
Especially now with everything that's
exactly.
happening.
Totally, totally.
Yeah,
And then now, I also work with entrepreneurial women. So mostly coaches, consultants, and course creators to manage their time well, energy, so that they're more productive. Because usually they're juggling multiple things. They're either
yeah,
juggling a full-time job that they still have maybe in the transition of it all, or they're juggling family life, or even looking after older relatives and stuff like that. So there's all this stuff that I think women find themselves having to do
yes.
a lot. So yeah, so that's what I support them with.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for laying it out. And that's why we connected, right? For
Yes.
people who follow me, I am about systems and leadership and like how that all connects. And so when she and I started, just talking back and forth, it was such a great conversation. And her cousin also, like, if you follow me for a while, you know that I come from the oil industry. So that's another connection
Like
point
another
that we
connection
had.
because in Gaudi came from the oil connect. In fact, it wasn't quite the same company, but it was there's
Yeah.
similar in type. Yeah.
Yeah, very similar, very big, giant
Yeah.
global oil companies.
Yeah.
And so the one topic we did talk about was just related to feminine qualities not being looked highly upon in these companies.
Yes.
That there's
100%.
a certain discrimination that came on me when I was a female working in the industry, right? I am 5'2". I am small framed. My frame's getting bigger during COVID, but but I'm small build.
I
And
know.
like showing up in an oil refinery with this type of build, I got labeled as an admin assistant. I got labeled as an engineer. And I'm like, no, I work in the field with men and I make the gasoline. Like I have a hard hat, I have a tool belt, I wear a radio harness on my shoulder. It's like, they're like, what? I'm like, yes, I'm one of you.
Yeah.
I'm
Did
one of
you,
you.
interesting enough, because when we talk about oil and gas, because I've had a few colleagues and friends from oil and gas, a lot of time they didn't even work in the field. You actually did. They kind of work in the office. If I was going to say that,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine that would have been a different perspective for you than if you were in the office, kind of, or maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure. What do you think about?
No, there was a big difference for me. So I still have friends that are there, but the life that they were allowed to live, because I was on a 12-hour rotating shift schedule. So, so if you're talking about productivity and time management, there's a lot of automation that I had to include in my life because I was at work for 12 hours and I was a single mom for 8 of the 19 years that I was there. So a lot of automation, a lot of help. I had to delegate a lot of the stuff. And that's why I just love what you do. Like you help these women who are in the corporate world and even those who are transitioning out.
Yeah,
Like that was the biggest gap for me.
yeah.
Transitioning from working 70 hours a week to
True.
to trying to like make the same level of income to match before I jumped out.
Yeah. How long did that take you?
Well, so I didn't end up jumping out of corporate into coaching. I
Mm.
ended up being a consultant instead because
Yeah,
that was more lucrative. It was a more apples to apples comparison. I was doing
yes,
project management work, and then I was able to do project management work for
yeah,
another like 8-figure entrepreneur who could afford to delegate these things, right?
yes, yeah. It's so funny you say that because one of the things that came up or comes up a lot when people want to leave corporate and like I said, we've had Ngozi left, my business partner, and then my cousin, she left. And then you have other people wanting to leave as well and sort of desperate to leave. But one of the things like, oh, I need to go do another go business and what am I going to do? And I always felt like I didn't want people to feel like they needed to go complete overhaul of the thing. Because I always felt it was safer to go sideways, but consult on the thing that you already do with your eyes closed.
Right.
And I know that it's not necessarily easy for everybody to do that, but I wondered for you if that was a natural fit or was just like I'm just going to consult, but on the engineering bits, but are you using those kind of skills? Is that how you did it?
Um, so actually I was technically recruited.
Uh,
I was in this 8-figure business owners coaching program. And I became friends with the staff and they knew what I did in corporate. And I'm like, well, I just want to completely transform and go
yeah,
into health coaching. And they're like, but you're not capitalizing on what you've already done. Like you're trying to switch into something totally new. And
mm,
I'm like, well, but this is more my passion, but we need the skills that you have as a project manager. Like you're
yeah,
managing your life, you're managing all these things.
yeah,
Please take some things off of our plates. They
yeah,
already had a COO, but they needed a project manager, like a middle manager to
yeah,
manage the staff.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
that's where I came in because that's the skill that
Okay.
I had.
And that was easy for you to transition out. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
I'd love people to be able to use the skill that they currently have. If you're an accountant, then I think you just use your accounting skills.
Right.
uh, and before you transition to something else. I think for me, it was a bit similar as well. I transitioned out from not next non-profit, but in terms of psychology and the kind of clients I was seeing. So I was seeing clients who were addicted to drugs and alcohol, clients who had some sort of mental health disorder that they were struggling, they were almost masking underneath the alcohol and
Hmm.
drugs, stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
and I did that for, I think, solidly 6, 7 years in that practice in a role, and then started managing a team. So I was still always in it. So even if you don't have them as patients or anything, you're still you're still responsible for the case of it. So
Right.
it was such like a breath of fresh air and I love that work. I think but it's quite draining, um, emotionally.
Right. You're emotionally
heavy.
invested in your clients.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And
it's
people,
heavy.
yeah, very heavy because people die
Yeah.
because they lose their battle with addiction. That's the the quote, they lost their battle with addiction. And yeah, so that was, I think, after a while I found it really too hard. And then especially I think in my fifth year in or something like that, I lost my brother. My brother died. And yeah, so just sort of random accident, and he had a head injury, and he didn't wake up from surgery. But coming back from that, I think I took about maybe a couple of months off because I was helping my dad. It was back in Nigeria, so I'd gone home to support. He died while I was on home when I was in Nigeria on holiday, come for like a 3 week break or something. And
Right. Yeah.
he'd had the accident already on his head, but they didn't know, he didn't know that he would basically,
Oh, like internal
basically,
hemorrhaging
there we
happens.
go, there we go. So the brain could subdural
Yeah.
hematoma. So
Oh,
it kept him by headache. But eventually, we went into hospital and he didn't come out. So I always thought myself lucky that I was home with him. If that makes sense. At first,
no, it makes
I
sense.
would have gotten
Yeah.
some phone call from another country and I can't go home, and you know what I
Right.
mean? I can't. Yeah. So that was a bit. So coming back from that was, I think I might have stayed away for 2 months. To my office, my work gave me time off, and I was on a put a mini sabbatical, that kind of
Right.
stuff. So I came back to work, and I found myself thinking, I can't, and I would just not expect to carry on as normal because the patients I had before had been redistributed. So it's not like you had people waiting for me to come back.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
went to
that's good.
yeah, so that was good, very positive. But I started to generally sort of gradually get them back in or to do clinical assessment and stuff like that. And I found myself not able to take it
Mm,
in like I couldn't. And I think at that point I realized I'll do it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was time for, I felt like I can't keep taking other people's emotion in. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't in an emotional state to do that
Right.
competently or to do
Right.
that objectively. So that was one of those times when I started thinking, I'm gonna have to do something else.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do something different with myself.
Yeah.
Or and for a long time until management felt like the next thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, which I did. I went to management and I was pretty good at it. I didn't mind doing it at all. But it meant that I could almost treat people from a distance. So someone can say, "Oh, Obi, I've got this patient who's got this and this and this and this and I could okay, ask about this, ask about that." But I would remove from the emotional
Right. Right.
filter. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And that helped me carry on in the field. But at some point, I found myself ready again to take on sort of supporting people on a one-to-one thing. But I knew I didn't want it to be drug and alcohol or anything too painful.
Wow.
So the next logical step felt like, helping people manage stress. 'Cause I kept thinking, what is this stage do I want to help people on? I want to help them before they get to the stage where it's so bad. It's like, oh my God.
Right. And they need to resort to substances in order to
It,
cope.
exactly.
Right.
So
Catch it early.
yeah, catch it early, and that way, what can I catch early? And I realized, oh, the group of cohort of people, and I knew it was going to be women. I kind of felt like I needed to do that. But I realized we're going to be corporate women because
High
they
stress.
don't, yeah, it's just high stakes, high level. If you're starting to have children, this is now adding compounding. So, and I started working with a lot of medics, 'cause then I had a lot of doctors who were women, black women.
Yes. Yeah.
I had my first client, and I didn't know at the time. I didn't notice that I had gotten this cohort of women who was saying, "By the way, I need some help."
Yeah.
But I kept thinking, why are they coming to me for help? I couldn't, because I'm not a medic. I kept thinking, why don't you talk to other medics
Right. Yeah.
and other people, in your medical bubble? I'm sure there are other people you can go and ask for help. And then
Right.
I realized they were coming outside because they didn't
Right.
want it coming back to them, or
Stigma and the shame.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
they were thinking,
So I was like, I'm a medical professional. I should be
I should know
together,
everything.
should
Yeah.
know, right? But when you're talking about medics, so I was a combat medic also when I was in the Army.
Yeah. Yes, I remember
I
that
had
now.
my
You have to
EMT
know these things.
license and things. I never did actually work in the field, like outside of the military. I didn't work
Yeah.
in the secular field. But now we're with all these first responders going out there. Oh my gosh, like people need what you have. Like you have this great combination of, yes, I've worked in the mental health field. I've worked as a, but I've also worked helping people manage stress
Yeah.
in the medical the first responders
It's
and
just like that.
stress.
Yeah.
Wow. And like
Yeah.
you said, also you said they were black and female.
Yeah. I hadn't, and to be fair, I don't think I noticed particularly. Um, because I don't know why I didn't. I don't know. I think I just thought it was just a reflection of me. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that once I start a business, the people who will be attracted to me will be other me's.
Right, right,
That makes sense. So I wasn't too far I get out attracting, but I realized, oh, did a few of you ask, this question, and I remember thinking, oh, why don't you go and ask, there's already provision for you within the National Health Service or medical kind of bubble. They have their support there. There's already
right,
almost membership kind of thing.
right,
And they were like, nah, don't want to use that. And I want to talk about the stuff that I want to talk about. I can't talk to them about. Um, there are not many black psychiatrists or um, uh, probably people of color either. But I think I got the feeling that it was quite white heavy anyway. So I think for
yes,
them it would like I just want to just talk to someone who's outside the realms of everything,
yeah,
and I can get perspective and feedback and stuff like that. So I started working with them, and there's a lot of
right.
imposter syndrome and all
Yeah,
that
having
stuff.
someone who understands you, understands your
Yeah,
culture.
yeah, I
Like,
think that's what it was. Yeah,
like there's certain, I mean, if we're going back to the whole Black Lives Matter and like the white people don't understand what the people are going through because they haven't been there. They
oh,
haven't experienced it. Even if like this education stuff is all coming out, unless you've experienced like real hardship, you
yeah,
can't understand. Like even like substance abuse or addiction. Like
yes,
if
yeah.
you've
You can't.
never,
Exactly. That's a classic example that you can't really, because even for me, working in substance misuse field for a long time, I knew I could never really get the mind of an addict. I knew that I knew that. So sometimes when they say to me, Obi, you don't understand, you read it all in the book. You don't understand. And I say, yes, you're absolutely right. I don't understand. And I can't possibly. I get it, but I can't ever really say I know. And
right,
so how we come back to that was I didn't ever work in a team by myself. So I always had it'd be me, there'll be other practitioners, there'll be other people we call peer mentors. They were other people
right.
who walked
Those
the
are the
walk.
people that have been
Yeah,
through the process and
yeah.
mentorship and they can
Exactly.
help them.
Yeah. So therefore, they didn't necessarily have to have the medical degree or any of that stuff, but they can absolutely say without a shadow of a doubt, I know exactly what pain you're in now. I know it feels scary, but you can do this. I'm here. Just follow what Obi says. That's the right. It helped me, but I can show you the other way that she can't show you. And I would never intimidated by that, never scared about that. So I will always ask someone who just wasn't quite gelling with me, and I would say, will it be helpful to hear from someone who's been through this with you? Would it be helpful? And they'll go, yes, please. And then that's when I realized that's what they had a problem with it. They just didn't want to say. So being able to say at the end of my assessment or whatever, and I say, listen, will it be helpful to talk to someone who's been through what you've been through? Like if it's a man, I would say another man. If it's a woman, I would say another woman. Because it was
Right,
always a thing of you need to see representation. So I would say that, and if it were the perfect one who would incorporate, so he's hiding the fact that he's got this thing. I
right,
would want to talk to
right.
another man.
There's
Another
so
man.
many successful people
I know.
who have addiction.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to talk to another banker, or someone who's already put themselves as I'm happy to help. So I
Right,
wasn't just calling people out.
right,
Because that was
right,
not
right.
professional. Uh, and that always helped for sure. So in the case of someone who is black or a different color, the more the color you have helps. It's representation. That's what it really means. But not only color and whatever. So black
Right.
female,
Right.
another black woman talking to another black woman isn't knowingly not you're not putting race to it. You're not just saying look at everything through color and stuff. It's not more, it's just representation. Can I see someone that looks like me, and can I trust that they might get what I'm coming from? Not get everything, because can't possibly, we're all individuals, aren't we?
Right. And all the experiences that we've had.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at that moment, that particular pain has to match someone else who had that exact particular pain, so
Right.
that the person can allow themselves either think, yeah, this is the right thing for me. Yes, it's not all in my head, right? Because we
Yeah.
have something called phantom pain, where the person isn't, they've already
Oh,
been
right.
through
You have amputees, right?
feeling.
And they still feel
Yeah, they
pain.
can still feel the pain. They can still
Yeah.
feel like they're withdrawn. They can still feel the anxiety. And me being able to say it's not actually there in your head isn't going to come out as powerfully as someone else who's been through it to say, "Yep, I know what you're feeling it now, aren't you? So don't worry. It'll last for 2 days. Just bear with it." You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because one thing for me to say, and I mean, that's why I started this show.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't have this conversation. I've
Uh,
never been a Black person. I lived in Hawaii where there's Hawaiian people,
yeah.
you know,
My
and so
parents
I
got
am
my.
the
Did I tell you?
majority.
Did I tell
You
you that
know,
my
even though
parents
I'm
got
a woman
married
of
in?
color, I'm still a majority.
Yes, I know.
You
And
know,
that's the point, digging. You're still majority. I grew up in Nigeria, and up until 19 when I came to UK, and I was, well, everybody's black. Might have one or few white people, but they're living
right,
their life. If you ask them, they will have a different experience of being white, the only white person on the street or something, and they will have a experience of that. But yeah, so I do accept that you cannot possibly know. And even when I came to the UK at 19, I was still different. I'm still a 19-year-old who grew up in another country where everybody was black. I'm now in a country where majority is white, but I'm also in a city where there are more black faces. So I never walked down the street
right,
and I felt like I couldn't see my own face. I saw myself, I saw my face in other people. So it allowed me to probably assimilate quicker, I guess, because it's easier to do that when you're not feeling like the only other on the road.
right,
But I was saying earlier, just before, my parent got married in Hawaii, which is why
right.
let's have that
Yes.
conversation. Yeah. So I just thought it was always nice, and I've still never been. I haven't been to Hawaii, but I always thought, oh, I need to go there.
Soon, once this,
When the
quarantine.
quarantine is, I always reserved Hawaii for like a honeymoon, but I'm now thinking, oh, forget that. They don't need a honeymoon to go for Hawaii.
No, right? I mean, especially right, the things that you've experienced, and even like seeing people in like your clients pass away
Yeah,
abruptly, or even having people
yeah,
in your family pass away abruptly, and it's like, uh, I need to live life now. I can't wait until a special occasion. And like this Monday was my anniversary, and
what anniversary was that?
7, like 7-year
Oh,
anniversary. And it's funny, like my family was like, "Is it, how long has it been? Like 3, 4 years?" I'm like, "No, it's 7, guys." They're like, but
it goes
time
really
passes.
quickly. It does.
And I wanted to just share that, like I've been trying to like craft this perfect post to tell people how much I love my husband, and like how it goes on social media. But the fact of the matter is, what I wanted to share was, I wouldn't be alive today if I wasn't married, because I was working too much. I was a single parent trying to do it all on my own. And when he came in my life, he was already independent. I was independent, and he was fine with me being independent. I finally broke free from these codependent relationships. And but when I got my adrenal burnout diagnosis, it was because my husband told me to go to the doctor. The things that I was experiencing was not normal. And I was like, but the people at my job, right? All of us were doing shift working. Oh, hi, Linda. All of the shift working
Hey,
people.
Linda. Oh my God. And hi, Christiana. Oh my God. There's people on this screen watching.
I
Hello.
know. But like, you're right. The people who I was working with for 19 years, it was like,
Yeah.
no, being tired all the time is just a side effect of shift work. It's like, yeah, whatever. We sleep 4 hours, 6 hours a day. Like, that's normal.
Mm.
Until I wasn't functioning, and my husband saw it. He's like, something's wrong with you. I'm like, no, this is normal. I've been like this for how many years? Like falling asleep all the time is just part of the job. It just comes with the territory. And he came from the airlines into the oil industry. And he's like, no, I've been a shift worker for
This
17
is not
years.
normal.
It's not normal. And that's when I went to the doctor, got all the tests, and I had more than adrenal burnout, but all of these factors like thyroid, candida, leaky gut, all of that other stuff was contributing to my adrenals being shut down. Because
Yeah.
right, like I kept pumping myself up with caffeine in
Just
order to
trying it, and it
get
was making it worse.
right. And then like, oh, my adrenals like were shot. And when I walked into the doctor's office to go over my test results, the doctor was like, I don't even know how you walked in here. Like my cortisol levels were so low. It was like at 0 or near 0 and like 0.8. So I was like, really? I feel fine. I feel normal.
That is exactly what stress is. It's like you can tell the part where it's obvious emotionally or physically, you can tell that, but what he's doing to the body inside, completely different ball game. Which is why I always kind of try to, even if you don't feel tired, you have to rest or
Right.
go and do something with yourself. Even I have to tell myself that, because I can't go. Eventually I know I usually crash, so I know I can never sustain it. So that in itself helps. It's almost like my inbuilt mechanism shutting me down. So no matter how long I run, I can never really run for more than 2 3 weeks, even if, especially during the launch, because that can be quite, go almost every night. The promoting for before it, the actual, challenge, 5 day challenge, the after effect, then the before the program starts again. It's stressful because I'm enjoying it, I'm getting a high from it, get a buzz from it, but it
Yeah.
still has the consequence. It's still
Right. The
adrenaline on it. Yeah,
activity. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yes. I remember when I did my summit, it was a 5-day summit. Linda was one of my guests on there. And I'm like, yeah, like you can pre-plan so much, right? So that's like part of what I do. Is like I try to pre-plan as much as I can. Like how Linda teaches us, right? Pre-plan all of your content, like write as much as you can up front, because when you're in the live event or whatever, like when I was in the refinery, we would shut down the refinery every 5 years. It's called the turnaround, where we'd shut down the refinery and then clean everything out
Oh,
and repair.
really? I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, and well,
Yeah.
it's based on whatever industry guidelines on how often you have to do
Ah.
things. And yeah, so there's so much regulations, like environmental safety regulations that we have to abide by and when we have to fix things. But so I was the project manager for the whole refinery for that thing, for making sure the work got done and making sure all the permits were lined up and all of that. I had other people reporting to me because I'm not the safety person, but safety personnel reported to me. So I had to just manage the workload
Mm.
for the entire refinery. And
And
it
how
was
long did that
so
last?
stressful. Uh, Depends on how much the workload is, but it's usually 4 to 8 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
Yeah.
what, yeah.
I worked 100-hour work week at one point. I didn't even know. I was like clocking my hours and you have to submit your timesheet. I ran out of space because I had a 3-digit number and not a 2-digit number. And so it got flagged in the system. But it was just like I didn't know any better at the time. And I was also planning a wedding. So I got married. I got married this Saturday and I left work on Thursday.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of corporate women, by the way. I don't know if it's any people watching, but for people watching right now who are hearing you, who are right in the thick of it, yes, COVID has happened, so that's quieting some people down. But if this used to be your life, I wonder how you're feeling if you're listening to this call now about the fact that
Yeah.
100-hour week, 70, 80-hour week, you can't sustain it for long, not without it doing something to you.
Yeah.
And high achievers feel like it is something they have to have or to do to prove. And I'm not even gonna can't can't begrudge someone for wanting to succeed and
Yeah.
wanting to get ahead. And if you're a woman of color, you're gonna want to do more because you're thinking this is what you've got to do,
Right.
especially when you don't get validated or you don't get the promotion that you thought that you were working towards, and you were told that that's what you needed to do, and then it's like, oh, I was under the mark. Okay, so I must not be
right.
working hard enough.
Or I
So
was under the mark just because I had a vagina, if I could say the V word on camera. But this was true. I had to work twice as hard
yeah,
or even more to prove my worth to the
yeah,
men.
yeah. That's not, I don't think that can ever in any doubt. I don't think people are gonna anybody can disagree with it, because that's just reality. Plenty of research to suggest um, that you have to work extra harder, and only because you're trying to get people to see past the filter. So to
Yeah,
see past the fact that my color is different, to see past my sex is different, especially if you're in a male-dominated field, you have to increase the bar so that you can be, oh, okay, we'll tolerate you because
right.
you do this great work over here.
Yeah,
But the average guy didn't have to do that, didn't
yeah,
really have to do that piece of
yeah,
work. You did, you burnt yourself out as the result of doing that. And so I think it's a reality for a lot of people. But it's almost like, well, how do you get other people to then measure everybody the same? And I don't know that that's possible. I don't know that that's something that can be done. I think human are human, and you have to almost, your brain has to sort based on what it likes, and
right.
that's where the prejudice comes from, and that's prejudice for anything, not never mind just color, but prejudice in general is
Right.
based on I need to make a decision quick about something. Even though that decision is based on something that's false or not actually particularly true or anything. But how do we, it just feels like it's just a harder game. I could think if
Yeah,
I link it to the context of entrepreneurship, is one of the reasons why I do 5-day challenges and not webinars is because I know I have this skin. I know that it's going to take 5 days for someone to hear me, see me continuously, for the person to go, I can see she's black, but okay, I do like what she's saying. I might come back the next day and hear it again. But now I don't see this as black because I've moved up past that. So
right.
it takes 2, 3 days. If I get a webinar in 1 hour, the bias it has a lot of layers to clear
Yeah,
first. So psychologically, I'm not gonna blame anybody for that. That's not, it's just reality. So for me,
right.
it's like I'm a psychologist. I can tell that that's what people need. So
Yeah,
I'm not gonna be doing webinars until I have like shitload of people on my email list, and then I won't care about that. But
right.
for now, I can't convert in an hour. I'm gonna need someone to get over my speech, the fact that I got a hearing, and so therefore my speech and some word will come out differently than other people. I might have an accent that you might say, oh, well, not American, or you might say it's not quite British. There's still a bit of element of Nigerian there. So if
Right.
that person has to clear that bias, then they have to clear the bias to the fact that I'm a woman. It is all this stuff. So I can't do that in an hour. So I have to organize something that allows you to spend time with me.
Wow. I
And
love
one
that
day do it.
though. I mean, the psychology of selling and like they like this brings me to like all of these people who are the
Just do a
dominant.
webinar. Like, no.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I'm gonna somebody I spoke to the other day, like, oh, I'm gonna do a webinar. I'm like, and I wanted to say, girl, nah, no, a
Yeah.
webinar isn't gonna fly for you. You have this skin. So psychologically, you need to allow more space. Now, I'm not saying it won't ever happen, depending on what you're selling, obviously. But no, I just think if more of us start doing it, then that would be cool, I think. But that's not what we have right now. Not in the coaching space, at least. So in the coaching
Yeah.
space, more white women, more white people in general, so white men. So in our world of female entrepreneurs, they're more white women. So therefore,
Right.
webinars are going to be full of them. So if you have a webinar side by side, black women, white women, they're probably going to feel more affinity to the white women because you're white.
Right.
And that's just normal. I think that's just natural. It's exactly your brain doing it. But if you sign up for a white woman's 5-day challenge, sign up for my 5-day challenge. Now you can compare 5 days. You can say, "No, I don't. Yeah, I don't care. She's the better coach. But you know what she's talking about."
Right.
So because you managed to pass through your filters.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's
especially
what I
in a
would say there.
webinar, like you have 20 mints to share your story or less.
And then you're trying to sell something at the end, like, no,
Yeah.
that's not gonna fly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Linda said, "Ha I feel you on that." Yes, Linda. That's
Yeah.
why we do 5-day challenge. So I'm just saying, I'm just calling it out.
Yeah, but
um,
it's so true. Like when I was in corporate, I was also like the new hire trainer. So can you
yeah.
imagine a man walking in, seeing me up front teaching you how to make gasoline,
Mm,
right? What is the assumption? Oh, what is she like the admin person? Like is she, and then it was I was a lot harder. So my husband and I met. He was a new hire. I was the trainer. It's kind of like a Top Gun,
oh, I love that
Henry McGillis
story.
kind of thing, right? You know, but when he walked in, he's not. He doesn't judge. He's very open. But there was like this big guy and he's Hawaiian, but he grew up on the East Coast in the Carolinas. So you know, there's prejudice down there, you know. And so like he had the filter thing happening for him. So it took a while for me to establish rapport with him and to get him to trust me and like this what I'm teaching you is what
Yeah,
you need to know.
yeah,
And then until we went out in the field and he saw that the men in the field respected me because I was a leader,
yeah,
right? Because I was a leader from the field. They took me, I was a teacher, but like that's what you're talking about, the filter. I had
yeah.
to get them past the
You
filter.
have to put that.
And I
Yeah,
really had to go hard out the gate. I couldn't be soft.
no,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
look at me checking out the new hire. Oh my gosh, there's so many stories about that. So many stories. I got dated for that like the rest of my career. They're like, oh, look at you, like just how we got together. Like it was just kind of my
I love
retirement
that
story.
story.
But
Checking out
like
the new
that
hire.
filter piece is so true. So true. Even when I got hired, like I felt like I couldn't wear earrings and lipstick to work. And I made sure I wore a sports bra so my boobs wouldn't show. I tried to make myself fit into like a masculine role. And some like, oh, are you, lesbian? I'm like, no. I just kind of just try to look like this so nobody hits on me at work and nobody try. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, I didn't get
nobody
that.
gets the wrong idea.
Yeah, in my field was sort of very female dominated. So I think that's probably why we didn't have a lot of stories about, in a way that some other sort of industries had them. So yeah, that would be the extra layers, and not just your color, but your sex and just attention and trying to be, how do you be jokey with someone without some taking,
It's the wrong way.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
I
like
mean, yeah. The oil industry, lots of locker room conversation, lots of man man speak. And so I had to build a tougher skin, and but I had to come back with some of those comebacks in order to even be accepted and for people not to feel weird around me and like,
yes.
oh, we can't say anything around her. I'm like, I've heard it all. Like
No,
it's
like,
fine.
oh,
I grew up with
you
brothers. And
yeah.
not that I accept the innuendos and whatever, but I'm just like, just be who you are. Like you don't have to change yourself to be around me. Like I really could care less. I really could care less.
Yeah, I know. I could imagine it on one hand,
We're
it's
just
like,
here to
okay,
work.
you
Like
want to
just
be able to say, yeah, I think it's inappropriate, because I think that kind of, how do you, because I don't know how much of it was you thinking, well, I don't want to be the one, I don't want to draw attention um towards stuff. I could want to be just known for the work. I could want, so if someone make an inappropriate joke, telling them off is raising attention to it.
yeah.
As opposed to just either laugh it off or just ignore, but saying the, challenging it, or it just almost like brought, it just
Like a negative
more,
attention.
exactly. And then once it is there, and it's a similar thing with the race. That's why a lot of people, or a lot of us anyway, in the UK, because we know that it's not the same race wars in the US than it is in the UK.
Yeah.
But we also have ours, and we've been, me and my cousin God, we're talking about how the US is trying to get to British level of racism, where it's covert. That's the level they're trying to get to. And meanwhile, we're thinking, oh, it's not that bad. Like, no, we can do better. Like, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one of the things that we've had to reflect on was how much of that was because we weren't saying anything. So when someone passed an inappropriate joke or a
Mm,
racist joke or sort of racist comment, that what they didn't mean it to be that way, they just don't know better or anything, that we didn't correct it or challenge it because we didn't want to draw attention to it.
no, that's exactly true. That's
Yeah,
exactly true. 'Cause there
yeah.
was a lady who, I call her a lady. I was young. I was 19 when I started, and she was like already in her 30s when she started.
Mm.
So she's technically a lady. But yeah, she was like, no, like always like calling out the negative behavior. Like they're doing this to me, da da da, like, and I was like, I don't want that. I don't want that. So I didn't. I mean, it honestly didn't bother me.
Okay.
Like my filters for men, it's like they're just men. They're gross, they're dirty, and they fart. It's fine, whatever it is.
And I think that's because you, like I said, you grew up with brothers, but also grew up in this male dominated where you'd almost gotten used to them, if that makes sense. So someone else coming in for the first time
Yeah,
wouldn't think like, what just happened here? And I think that's what it is. That's why you can always, that's why everybody can relate to something. So when someone says, oh, you don't know
right,
what it's like to be a woman. Yeah, you don't know what it's like to be a man either. You don't know what it's like to be black. You don't know what it's like to be brown. You don't. But you can find something to connect it for you. So you don't have to ever feel like, I know in my opinion, you don't have to ever feel like I wouldn't ever understand it, but I can find a way to connect with what you're saying. I can find a time when I was the only sort of white woman in my office. So you can understand being an other all of a sudden,
right,
or being
right,
someone commenting on your dress today. Like, why are we talking about my dress? We're not talking about that guy's dress. So,
right,
so when I say that I walk into a room and the black woman and someone is saying, "Oh, your hair," and trying to touch my braid, that's exactly the equivalent of you walking into a room with men where they're going, "Oh, nice ass." That's it. But if you
yeah,
don't, but if you can connect, you're like, okay, I can see why that's annoying, or I can see why that's just too in your face, and why are we talking about that? So you can connect with something.
yeah,
For a white man or man, you can see what it's like to be in a room and someone expects you to know how to paint or do DIY. Like, why are you expecting me to know how to do that? I don't know how to do that. And why is
right,
that a bad thing that I can't
yeah. Or
fix
like,
the
yeah,
car?
if
Yeah,
your dad was very handy and then you end up dating a guy that doesn't know how to use tools,
yeah.
you're like,
Like,
you're a man. You should know how to
exactly.
use
Like,
tools.
no. So
No,
everybody can relate if you want to relate to it. So the people saying, I don't see color, I don't see anything, like bullshit. You see stuff. That's
right,
why you can fight. You can't fight, do me too, and fight and understand that a woman has the right to say no, but you don't understand why someone shouldn't be touching somebody's hair on a purpose. You
right.
must be able to understand that it's still in
Yes.
someone's space that they didn't invite you into.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think it's just for people to, what I would love is for people to say, I can see, I can find a time, I can connect with a time where I felt outcast. I can connect with a time where I felt like an other. I can connect with a time where I didn't feel part of it. I can connect with a time where I felt marginalized for whatever reason. So if someone's saying that's what they're feeling today, I can believe them and say, yeah, I believe you for
Right.
going, I believe you. But you don't have
Right.
to say, yeah, like that time when, you don't have to, but you can connect with it. So you can't pretend you don't know. The time when you say, I don't, I don't understand, it just like it, come on, man. Like, no, you
Yeah.
understand.
Like I was writing a quote earlier today. Like when you say you can't, I, when you say you can't, it's because you don't have a skill, right? You can't do something it's because you don't have the skill.
Yes,
If you're not willing to learn the skill, it's really I won't.
yeah, it's really, I won't, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Nobody's forcing anybody to go and learn something they don't want to be learning. It's like nobody's going to force me to learn SEOs. I don't care how good it's going to be for your business, but I am not about to learn SEOs. Full stop. Now, if someone said to me and said, "Obi, listen, I found a better and easy way for you to consume SEOs, but
Yeah.
I want you to at least acknowledge or see what it can do. I don't expect you to go deep and learn 5 modules of it. I'm more likely to sign up for that class, okay? So
Right.
there's something that you can learn, something you think is not my interest, but if someone's saying you absolutely need to learn this thing or at least acknowledge or learn something, and I'm going to say, yeah, sure, okay. I found
Right.
this easy webinar for you to go 10 minutes, a cartoon video to explain. I'm going to watch that.
Right.
So
Right.
if you find yourself saying, I don't want to see anything, and that's because you have to ask yourself what you're hiding from. Exactly.
Yes. I love that. I
And
love all of that.
nobody knows everything. So,
Yeah. Nobody knows everything. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
that's why, like, coaches and consultants, we have jobs because we teach people how to do things.
Brilliant. That's
Right?
exactly it. I love that. Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes,
even
Dave.
though, like, I'm a systems expert or whatever, like, people hire me to, like, get their, their stuff straight and organized using systems. I'm not a systems expert. I'm still out there learning, right? Or even as a psychologist, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you still have like CECs or continuing
Yeah,
education
continual
credit.
development. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you
It's
still
just
have to have.
fine.
Like doctors
Um,
have to do it. Like, can you
yeah,
imagine if a surgeon graduated 30 years ago and he's like, well, what
yeah.
I'm
I mean,
doing is fine.
no,
You
exactly.
know?
I'm not going to let no doctor touch me who 30 years ago haven't done any additional learning since. Like, no, you
Yeah,
wouldn't. So, yeah. So I do appreciate. I do appreciate it. You can't say you always have to keep learning. I have to keep learning. There's always new specialties. This productivity stuff is new for me, in the sense the last couple of years I've had to go deep into it. It was
yeah.
something I knew peripherally, but I've had to go in to be able to help people apply psychologically to what they were doing.
Oh,
That
yes,
part
that's a
I
big
had to
part.
learn.
Like
Yeah,
it's the skill
yeah,
set, but
yeah,
if you don't have the mindset to go with the skill set, it does
yeah. It's just a
not.
waste.
It's not going to stick. And
No.
I love that you have take a psychological approach, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you can do something, and that's how I used to teach the guys too. It's like I could teach men about pumps and pipes and rotating equipment or machinery, whatever. But I really had to get them to buy into the safety piece. Like, this is why you need to learn it, because if you don't, you will kill someone or
Yeah.
you will cause an environmental violation and will cost us bajillions of dollars to
Yes.
pay fines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Like, do you have some buy-in now?
Yes, you
Got
have
it.
to. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. You have to understand. People have to understand what it is why they're learning what they're learning, and the purpose of it. That's why the Black Lives Matters, or but even just being anti-racist, it's like you have to know why you're doing it, and it's not going to get immediate effect immediately. It's just drip, 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 and then eventually with snowball, it will get. You will see that you know what to do, or you know what to say, or you
Yeah.
know how to support
Yeah.
properly. So I just think anybody can learn anything, and if you don't want to learn because you don't want to, and can't be judging someone who doesn't want to learn, but I'm just not going to spend my energy on that person. I just
Yeah.
like there are other people who want my attention, other people who want to learn. So it's a bit like my business. I'm not going to force someone who's not productive, who doesn't want to learn about being productivity or being productive or learn about how they can make their business work. Why will I bother myself with that person?
Right. Or the person who's so stuck, like they can't delegate or release
Yeah, there's
control. It's
no
like,
point. Yeah,
no.
no
Like,
need for
we're
that.
never going to change their mind.
Yeah, yeah. So they're, you're still contemplating, or you don't even know that the problem. So that you need to go and contemplate somewhere else.
Right.
While while I help the people who have come and say, by the way, could you help me with this? I've now acknowledged I have a problem.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that they can't come back. That's the thing. That's the shame. You don't want people to feel like I no longer can backtrack and say I was wrong about something.
Yeah.
That's why we can't ever make people feel bad about where they find themselves in. You personally just saying, I don't have energy to help you with that right now because you're in this particular space and I don't have the wherewithal or the emotional capability to deal with your shit.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that's the whole
definitely.
thing. Yeah.
Well, so we're going to just talk about where you can learn more about what Obi teaches about productivity and things. She just got done with her 5-day challenge, and her enrollment period, it's closed now, but she has a free thing that you can go. You can go to her group.
I got a free Facebook group. It's where I spend the majority of my time anyway. It's called the Productive CEO. I think some of my good people are watching right now. Hello. Hi, Christina.
There it is.
There it is. Well done. That was quick, Kylie. Awesome.
See, that's part of like the systems. Like, what could I set up beforehand so it can make me feel less stressed? Well, that's the beauty of systems, and why I teach systems is like, how can we set things up to work in the background and make it simple so that and it came from teaching complex things.
Yeah.
Like teaching people how to make gasoline in 8 weeks is very complex. But I had to learn how to break.
I think that would be over my. Engineering was just not my thing. Like not even close.
And to be honest, for me, it was. I just got the job because it paid well, right? It was a 6-figure job. I was a single parent at the time, and I got left high and dry. No child support, no social services support because I was still living with my parents. So I really had to come up with something on my own. And for me, that's where my fierce feminine was born, when I got tossed into the whole adulting thing and like working with men and having to really fend for myself and nobody on the outside understanding. Because it's like, you can't talk about refining. Like, people don't get it. They're like, what are you talking about?
Honestly, over my head. So,
right?
And that's why I get to, there's always something for someone out there. There's a place for you somewhere. So.
Right. And so if you're one of these people who's like, well, I think I kind of like want to be more productive, and you want to learn more about productivity and how to get your ish done, whatever, however you say it, for being politically correct. But if you want to really get stuff done and learn the processes and even like the psychological barriers of why you're not doing the things you need to do.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's that link. Go to Obi's Facebook group, The Productive CEO. Like, that's such an awesome name. I love it. I love it. Right? What CEO doesn't want to be productive? Right? And like I work with a lot of CEOs as well in the company, and I'm just like, because I'm a systems person, I'm like, oh my gosh, why are you doing your emails manually or whatever they're doing? I'm like, let me help you. Like, let me set something up. And
I totally agree with that. I think everybody can get better at their productivity or increase. And all it is just, can I work in a way that's efficient with less time so I can go and do other things that I like doing?
Right.
And not spend all my time knee deep in email. That's like a quickest way to waste your time. So I appreciate that. So yes, if you're a female business owner and you're thinking, hey, you know what, I could do with learning some stuff, then by all means, we're very much welcome to join the Productive CEO.
Yeah, and I do like that, a lot of the productivity groups are women who don't look like us. Or men. There's a lot of men who teach productivity, right? I took Todd Herman's course, and I'm like, I mean, no shame in that game, but like you said, I couldn't relate. And just learning from people who like, or like a lot of the productivity is like, kids, moms who work from home and have young children. I'm like, I don't have that problem.
Yes. And that's why representation matters. It doesn't mean that's all that matters. It just means you need somewhere to be, to work out some of your stuff, make sense of it, and then you can go and teach another group. That's the point. So it's just, I think that's how I like to think that's how the world works. It's just,
yeah. So anyway, if you need, if you're looking for a place to connect with women, female entrepreneurs, and if you're a course creator, you have your own business, just go connect with Obi. And
thank you.
Yeah, go enjoy the loveliness that she is, and this beautiful soul that she is.
Basking in it
And
now. Oh, thank you so much,
just,
Kylie. I appreciate it. It's
yeah,
been lovely being on. A good
she's
catch.
so, I mean, as you can see, she's so easy to talk to. We've only met like, what, 3 weeks
To
ago,
go.
but it's such an easy
Yeah,
connection. So
definitely.
yeah, go connect with her and learn more from her and her group. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
staying on.
watching.
And if
Yeah,
I don't know how to use this, how to comment back to people on
yeah,
the platform, so I'll go back and comment, and like Obi will come in and comment too. Like if you
yeah,
have
I will.
questions after watching this, and if you're watching on the replay, yeah, type in some
Hashtag replay.
questions.
Yeah, hashtag
Yeah,
replay, and then we'll come
hashtag
back and
replay
respond.
and type in some questions. You're like, I don't understand. If you want to learn more about, yeah, Charmaine, it's right here on here, and then also in one of the comments.
Oh, hi, Carmen. Oh, it'd be lovely to have you too. So
Yeah,
that's what we'll
thanks,
do. Yeah,
Charmaine.
okay.
Yeah. So Charmaine is my friend. She was my bunk buddy in the military.
I love that.
Yeah. So talking about the power of Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway, we could
Okay.
probably talk forever, but
No, we can't.
we're busy,
Again.
productive CEOs, so we gotta get going.
Thank you very much, everybody, for watching.
Thank
Thank
you,
Kylie.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.